So the key thing of what I've said is, this is one of the key things. If you're not doing it, hopefully I'm going to encourage you to do it, is respond to reviews. Don't just sit there and just say, oh, they're good or they're bad or whatever. This is your chance to have a voice in the conversation. It's not just the traveller who writes the review. As an owner or a property manager, you can respond to reviews. So this is why it's important. Travellers like to see a hotel is posting a management response to a review. They reassure a response to a bad review can be really reassuring, and actually a management response to a good review makes me think highly of the hotel. So our advice is thank the best and acknowledge and respond to the worst. It shows the hotel is listening. It shows the hotel is listening to their guests and taking action. It's a chance to tell your side of the story if you feel that there's some comment that needs to be corrected, and it really does make a difference. So obviously, if you ask a traveller, does it sway them? Yes, it does. 68% of people have said that if given two hotels and one's got management responses and one hasn't, they'd actually prefer the hotel that does the management reviews, because again, it shows they're listening and acknowledging travellers' feedback. So this is how a management response looks on a page. You can see here's a review, and the management response sits right underneath. The thing to remember is, once the review's up there and then the management response is up there, that's the end of the conversation. The hotelier has the last word in this conversation. So truly, there's no other. So this is the last thing that people will read against a review. So it really is important, and it really does make a difference. The one thing I will say is only respond when you've got something interesting or something to say, because I know some. And I'm pleased hotels are responding, but if you look, some people are just pasting, thank you very much for a review, thank you very much for a review, and they're just pasting the same thing after every review. After a while, the travellers stop reading them because they think they're all the same. So when they actually have got something to really add to review, it's sort of the impact has worn off. So you don't have to respond to everyone, but do respond to the ones that need to be responded to, or when you think there's something you can add to the conversation. Now, there are rules on how to do a management response, obviously, and may I say these are real management responses, but they haven't been published on our site, because these are examples of probably how not to do it. So you've got to remember that you're not just talking to the reviewer, you're talking to the whole TripAdvisor audience. It's got to be polite. It's got to be family friendly. It can't be promotional, so we won't print anything with a URL or an email address in, because obviously there's all sorts of other issues about putting an email and things in the public domain, let alone. So there are the rules. Again, in the management centre, there's the full list of rules on how to do it. And also, it doesn't help anyone if you put an aggressive management response up. Actually, the travellers don't particularly like it anyway, and it perhaps doesn't reflect the hotel in the best light. So what I say is, when you're going to respond and you've got an issue, take a deep breath, walk around the block, and then respond if there's something that has upset you. Just try and think you're reflecting your business and your business management style when you respond to reviews. The other thing to say is, travellers respond to reviews in their own way. Often this will happen that you'll see a couple of negative reviews, and then one traveller will go, I don't agree with that at all, I had a brilliant time. Sometimes that sort of thing will happen when it's a family friendly hotel, and you'll get someone who was after a design-led hotel, they just weren't the right demographic, should I say, for the property. So then they'll give it a bad review, but everyone who is the right demographic will then go and correct them. The other thing to say is every review has a button to report this review. So within the management centre, there's a report review function, but also on the site, every review can be reported by anyone. We have 50 million people using this site. They all moderate, so it's the power of the community that everyone can make an issue on a review. However, the one thing I will touch is we take the veracity of our reviews incredibly serious, because if people didn't believe our reviews, we wouldn't have a business. We did a survey through Focusrite recently, and 98% of people said they trusted, this is travellers, said they trusted and used TripAdvisor reviews that we surveyed. It is still, everyone knows that there's some variation in reviews, and when there's a series of reviews, people generally we'll look for a theme. So if there's 20 reviews, there's 1 5, 1 1 and all the rest are 4s, the people will believe the 18 4s is probably the true story. So generally, the way people read these things, they use common sense and they do look for a theme through reviews. So again, that's another reason for a hotel to get more reviews. Make sure you've got enough to give a true sense of the story of what your property is about. So the more reviews, the more consistent the marks are. Obviously, that's probably a better true reflection of what your property is.